Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, here to highlight some of the best deals from the Steam Spring Sale. A lot of stuff discounted. Here to look at deals under the price of $5. Now, yes, there are deals under $5 in this video, but we're not going under $3 because I need content, and that'll be a separate video. So, without further ado, we've got quite a few games to go over. This is still, scratching the surface, as you guys know, of all the deals that are available. But let's get right into it, and let's start things off with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You guys hear me talk about Jedi Survivor ad nauseum and how much I love that game outside of its abomination of a PC version, which we've been over quite a few times. But Jedi Fallen Order is a damn good game as well. It really kicks off Cal's story, and I mean, obviously it kicks off Cal's story. It's the first game, and you definitely should play Jedi Fallen Order ahead of Jedi Survivor. It's not as big in terms of the levels and whatnot, but it's still got a decent bit of content. The combat's super enjoyable. The visuals are great. Some great boss battles as well. And again, I always recommend Jedi Fallen Order to people that aren't even Star Wars fans because I'm not a Star Wars fan, at least not a big Star Wars fan. Yeah, I've watched some content since Jedi Fallen Order, but Jedi Fallen Order was really the game that got me more interested in Star Wars as an IP. And for $4, this is a great deal. If you're just like an action game fan, you'll end up enjoying it. Again, $3.99, great pickup there. Next up, we have Tales of Berseria, 90% off for $4.99, an absolutely terrific JRPG, and a game that is a pretty solid one to get into the Tales of franchise. I think Arisen would be the best, given that that game from a visual standpoint is much better than the other Tales of games, but Berseria is a really good one in that it has an incredibly compelling main character in Velvet. The story's really strong. The combat is your typical Tales of fare. Decent bit of content as well. $4.99, a great pickup for Tales of Berseria. 90% off, a sizable discount, all things considered, and for this price point, I think that's a bargain given how good of a game Berseria is. Next up, I do want to give a shout to Catherine Classic. Now, it is 75% off for $4.99, and I hate Atlas and Sega for screwing the PC audience over and giving us Catherine Classic a few months ahead of the release of Catherine Full Body Edition. I forget exactly how much ahead of the release of Full Body did we get Catherine Classic. Full Body Edition adds more content and a sizable amount of content, but we've just been stuck with this version of Catherine. But otherwise, if you want to play it directly on Steam, Catherine Classic still offers a good bit of content and is still a super enjoyable game. I wouldn't say that this is the game that I would recommend for you if you're trying to get into Japanese titles. It's a quirky puzzle game with a quirky story as well. The decision-making is important to the game that offers replayability, but $4.99 for the game I think is pretty good, so I would say give that a look. Next up, we got Dead Space 2, 80% off for $3.99. So, Dead Space 1 obviously got a remake. I don't know if Dead Space 2 is going to get a remake. It would be great if it did. Dead Space 2 I thought was absolutely awesome. Now, with Dead Space 2, I feel like some of the horror elements got a little bit lost. And maybe that's because you already played Dead Space 1 and, Dead Space 2, they could only do so much in terms of the shock factor, but Dead Space 2 I still thought was an incredibly engrossing survival horror action title. Narratively was very strong, and I definitely enjoyed Dead Space 2 more than Dead Space 1. I don't know if that's the common opinion, I don't believe it is, but I really dug Dead Space 2, and I just thought it was a really, really well-made game. Even at this point, being 13 years old, my goodness, every time we do a deals video and I'm forced to look at these Steam release dates that they have listed literally at the top, I'm just like, goodness gracious, am I an old man or becoming an old man or what? $3.99, however, Dead Space 2, great deal on that. Next up, we got a couple Dragon Age titles. Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition, Dragon Age 2 Ultimate Edition. How about we revel in BioWare at their absolute peak? Now, most people would disagree with that about Dragon Age 2, let's be real here. People weren't that crazy about Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 1, on the other hand, absolutely tremendous RPG. Now, bear in mind that these games do not have native controller support. So if you buy these games, I'm sure, you could do some method to get controller support working, but keyboard and mouse is going to be what you're looking at to playing these games. So just keep that in mind, since I know so many of you, moved over to PC gaming, but you essentially took your console gaming habits to PC gaming, where I literally know people that have never played a game with keyboard and mouse. Like, one of my buddies is super into Destiny 2, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this keyboard and mouse thing a shot, and he got absolutely whooped. And bear in mind, this dude's been PC gaming for like 4 years now, and like, he just never gamed with keyboard and mouse, and he's, after playing Destiny 2 with keyboard and mouse, he's not going to again. And I know some of you guys are of that ilk as well. But nonetheless, Dragon Age Origins, great RPG, and it's not like this is a fast-paced action game or anything like that. So even if keyboard and mouse isn't your ideal setup, you'll have a fine time with it. Narratively incredibly strong, sizable amount of content, and just wish EA wouldn't force people to go through, you know, EA Access or whatever, but, you know, them's the breaks with that. And Dragon Age 2 obviously got quite a bit of pushback as it moved more to an action game rather than its regular style in Dragon Age Origins. But what can you do? I still thought it was a pretty decent game, and I would give it a recommendation, and at this price point of $449, pretty decent pickup, all things considered. Next up, we got Alan Wake, 70% off for $449. Now, this is not Alan Wake Remastered. Alan Wake Remastered is only available on the Epic Games Store, and getting you guys to buy games on the Epic Games Store is a challenge that I am not ready to undertake at this stage of the game. Alan Wake 1 I thought was a fantastic game. As an action horror title, I thought it had a great ambiance, a great atmosphere, and if you guys know, I'm not crazy about Alan Wake 2. I really tried to get into that game, but Alan Wake 2 just did not click with me. I was so excited for that game, especially after all the reviews and the critical reception, that game, I think from a design standpoint, just has a lot of issues, and it didn't click with me. I am in the minority on that. Take that for what it's worth. You guys will probably, if you play Alan Wake 2, you'll probably really enjoy it. So, you know, if you end up checking it out and enjoying it, more power to you. I didn't get into it. I'll probably give it another shot at some point, but nonetheless, what I will tell you is Alan Wake 1 is a game that I absolutely loved, and for $449, I think it's a good game. Again, this one does show its age, and it initially came out in like May of 2010, so yeah, quite dated at this point. Speaking of being quite dated, Sonic Adventure 2, 50% off for $499. Look, this is one of the greatest platformers of its era, and maybe even of all time. I don't know if people would say of all time, but it's an all-time classic to me. Phenomenal soundtrack, phenomenal gameplay, and just a tremendous, tremendous Sonic game. And Sonic, to be fair, has been making a little bit of a resurgence. I feel like the recent outings have been fairly good. Sonic Frontiers, I thought, was great. Sonic Superstars wasn't a bad game either, but, you know, Sonic has been pretty inconsistent for the last decade and a half. Let's hope Generations, the new release, it turns out pretty well. But Sonic Adventure 2, all-time classic, $499, great buy there. Next up, we got Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Look, it's 80% off for $479. It's an open-world action RPG that has a bit of challenge. It doesn't hold your hand much, but it's a very enjoyable game. Obviously, Dogma 2 is coming out in a week. As of recording this video, Dogma 2 is out a week from today, and I'm super excited for that game, but it's going to be a $70 game, and some of you guys might not be wanting to drop 70 beans on it, and I can understand that. We'll drop $479 on Dark Arisen. That would be a great way to go as well. Couple of other titles to note. Final Fantasy VII, the original, 60% off for $479. Look, I get it that Final Fantasy VII Remake exists, but Final Fantasy VII, the original, is absolutely still worth playing. Obviously, has the classic turn-based battle system, and you get the entire story here, albeit not as fleshed out in the remake, and the remake, obviously, is changing a couple things. Things are getting a little bit crazy in the remake, but, FF7 OG is still worthwhile playing. Just make sure if you do play it, install the Echo S mod. It is phenomenal. The game is literally fully voice acted, and it's fan-made voice acting, but the fan-made voice acting is freaking tremendous, and like, they did a killer job with that. Visual enhancements, all that good stuff, and you'll get a much better experience with an all-time classic when you talk about FF7. Lastly, Helldivers 2, been in the news quite a bit. That's $40, but Helldivers 1 is 80% off for $3.99, and still very much a game worthwhile to play. It's a top-down action shooter that still has a lot of that essence that Arrowhead is known for, and that essence being over-the-top, arcadey, action-heavy gameplay. That's absolutely here in Helldivers 1 as well, and I feel like some of the interest in Helldivers 1 has been jolted up based on the success of Helldivers 2. $3.99 for the game, I think, is a great pickup. And, yeah, still Arrowhead doing Arrowhead things with Helldivers 1 Dive Harder Edition. But that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $5 right now. Links to all of these in the description box below. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.